The history of the Catholic Church is often perceived through the lens of ancient traditions, monumental architecture, and saints whose lives were lived in centuries vastly different from our own. We visualize figures in flowing robes or medieval habits, navigating worlds without electricity, global communication, or complex technological systems. However, the arrival of the 21st century has witnessed a dramatic and refreshing shift in this narrative. The beatification and subsequent canonization process of Carlo Acutis have provided a magnificent and contemporary icon of holiness. Carlo Acutis was not a figure from a distant era. He was a teenager who lived in the dawn of the digital age, a computer enthusiast who wore sneakers and polo shirts, and a passionate apostle of the Eucharist who utilized a laptop to spread the gospel. The occurrence of his final miracle, officially recognized by the Vatican in 2024, is not merely the final bureaucratic step towards sainthood. It is a profound and active call, a spiritual megaphone, amplifying a message intended specifically for a new generation of the faithful drifting in a chaotic and secularized modern world. To fully comprehend the significance of this call, one must first appreciate the extraordinary normalcy of Carlo Acutis. Born in London in 1991 to Italian parents, and raised primarily in Milan, Carlo was by all accounts a typical millennial. He enjoyed playing video games, specifically Pokemon and PlayStation, though he disciplined himself to only 1 hour of gaming per week as a penance and self-control exercise. He possessed a profound aptitude for computer programming, a talent that surprised adults around him. But this affinity for technology was never an end in itself. From the moment he received his first Holy Communion at the remarkably young age of 7, Carlo possessed an internal spiritual clarity that defied human explanation. He famously remarked that the Holy Eucharist was his highway to heaven. This conviction dictated every aspect of his short life. He attended Mass daily, spent hours in silent adoration before the Blessed Sacrament, and made a weekly confession. His life plan, formulated when he was only a child, was simple but absolute: to always be united to Jesus. His profound unity with the divine translated into immediate and compassionate action on the earthly plane. Carlo did not just adore Jesus in the sanctuary. He recognized Jesus in the marginalized people of Milan. With his spare time and money, he brought food and sleeping bags to the homeless people living on the streets. He stood up for classmates being bullied, particularly those who were disabled. His kindness was universal, extending to the non-Catholic domestic workers in his household, one of whom was so inspired by Carlo's joy and consistent faith that he sought baptism into the Catholic Church. Carlo's genius lay in his ability to harmonize his normal teenage existence with an extraordinary spiritual intensity. He did not need to retreat to a monastery to become holy. He became a saint in the middle of a bustling modern city, demonstrating that holiness is not a historical artifact but a current possibility. His primary legacy, and the method through which he became known as the digital apostle, was his creation of a website documenting Eucharistic miracles around the world. He realized that many people, including Catholics, did not fully understand the reality of the true presence of Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. He desired to use his programming skills to display scientific evidence of these supernatural events to the widest possible audience. This monumental project, which he began at age 11, consumed his energy. He used the photocopier analogy, warning that while everyone is born as an original, many people end up dying as mere photocopies because they blindly follow the powerful and consumerist crowd. He used the internet not for self-promotion or distraction, but as a direct tool of evangelization, creating a digital museum of faith that has since traveled the entire globe as a physical exhibition. His physical journey ended abruptly when he was diagnosed with acute promyelocytic leukemia at age 15 in 2006. He faced this terrifying prognosis not with fear, but with serene acceptance. He offered all his immense suffering for the Pope and the Church, stating that he did not want to do penance in purgatory, but wanted to go straight to heaven to continue helping people from above. He famously told his mother not to be afraid because death was only the passage to ordinary life. Carlo died on October 12, 2006 in Monza, Italy. He was buried, according to his wishes, in Assisi, the home of his spiritual hero, Saint Francis. The road to canonization requires two distinct miracles, validated through a rigorous process involving medical experts and theologians to ensure no natural explanation exists. The first miracle, which led to his beatification in 2020, involved the inexplicable healing of a Brazilian boy suffering from a fatal congenital pancreatic defect after touching a relic of Carlo. The final miracle, approved in 2024, paves the way for his full canonization as the first millennial saint. This miracle centered on a young woman from Costa Rica named Valeria Valverde, who was studying in Florence in 2022. Valeria suffered a catastrophic bicycle accident that resulted in severe cranial trauma, leaving her in a critical condition with minimal hope for survival according to medical prognosis. Her mother, Liliana, possessed a profound faith and immediately made a pilgrimage to Assisi. On July 8th, Liliana arrived at the Sanctuary of the Renunciation, where Carlo's tomb is located. She knelt before his body and prayed with total desperation and devotion for 4 hours, entrusting her daughter completely to his intercession. On that precise day, doctors in Florence noted a sudden and unexplained improvement in Valeria. She began to breathe on her own, and shortly after, she regained movement and speech. Subsequent medical scans showed that the critical hemorrhage in her brain had completely disappeared, leaving no lasting neurological damage. The sudden and medically inexplicable restoration of health was accepted as the final necessary divine validation. This final miracle is not just a supernatural event, it is a definitive call, a supernatural signature on a mission that is now entrusted to a new generation. We are living in a generation that is often described as spiritually listless. A generation adrift in the static noise of constant digital stimulation, social media validation, and relativistic philosophies. Many young people feel an immense pressure to be photocopies, trying to emulate the superficial success and curated happiness displayed on their screens. They are surrounded by connection, yet experience profound isolation and an underlying sense of hopelessness. Carlo Acutis stands before this generation as a beacon of authenticity, joy, and meaning. His life demonstrated that you do not need to choose between being a modern person and being a faithful person. You do not need to be wealthy, famous, or old to make an eternal impact. His call to the new generation is multifaceted. First, it is a call to intellectual courage, challenging young people to look past naturalistic explanations and secular narratives to investigate the reality of the spiritual dimension. The final miracle itself, being medically unexplainable, forces a confrontation with the transcendent. Second, it is a call to domestic holiness, demonstrating that the family home, the school, and even the digital space can and must become sanctuaries. Carlo showed that 1 hour of video gaming is better when it is offered as a penance than it is a selfish escape. Third, it is a call to Eucharistic revival. His entire mission centered on bringing people back to the core of Catholic identity, the real presence of Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. He invites this generation to find their true strength not in virtual reality, but in the definitive reality of the altar. Finally, Carlo Acutis is a call to the divine originality. He challenges young people to stop wasting their limited time trying to be copies of someone else's life, and to discover the unique, magnificent plan God has formulated specifically for them. His final miracle provides the guarantee that faith is active, divine intercession is real, and the communion of saints is actively working to support those trying to swim against the secular current. Carlo Acutis has been canonized not just to be admired in a statue, but to be an active companion and role model. The call has gone out to every modern nation, through every digital network, and to every lonely teenage heart. Be an original, not a photocopy. Seek the highway to heaven. Use the tools of your age not for distraction, but for the glory of God. This new generation of the faithful has found its leader, its digital patron, and its authentic modern saint. The final miracle has sealed this mandate, and the time for the new generation that respond is now.